Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm finally getting round to recording episode 18 of the Norwenglish knitting podcast. It's been a while. My last one I think was in January or February, but I'm back and I hope to be recording a little bit more often. So I have quite a lot to show because it's been quite a few months, so I think I'll just dive straight into the knitting today. If you're new to my channel, my name's Lizzy and I'm coming to you from the west coast of Norway. I live about an hour from Bergen with my husband and our dog Tilly, who you might hear in the podcast. Sometimes she will spot something outside and start barking. Although today I have a slightly different setup. I'm trying out my phone camera instead of my regular camera because I got a new phone and I think the camera on this is a little bit better. Hopefully the sound quality is okay. You'll have to let me know. Maybe I'll have to get a little microphone to go with it. I have to try to remember to look at the camera and not at myself on the screen. The other thing with my camera is it only records for 20 minutes at a time, so I have to keep stopping and restarting the recording on the camera, which is a bit of a pain when you're recording a podcast because I kind of lose track of how long I'm talking for. What else do I normally say? It's been so long since I've recorded. You can find me on Instagram and here on YouTube as the Norwenglish Knitter, and you can find me on Ravelry as LizzyHut94. Both of which will be in the description box below, along with the show notes for today's episode. So anything I talk about, patterns, yarn, colourways, things like that, will all be down below. You can also go to my group on Ravelry, which is called the Norwenglish Knitter Podcast, I think. And I put all the show notes on there as well, so they're all together. Yeah. I think that's it. I think we'll just dive straight in. I do need a coffee today because I did not sleep very well last night. So we'll see how this goes. So because it's been so long since I last recorded, I have so many projects to show. I'm going to divide them up a little bit. So in today's episode, I'll be talking about all the garments that I've either finished or am currently working on. And then in the next episode, I thought I would do kind of like a special of kind of baby knits, because I have quite a few of those and I know that maybe that's not something that everyone's interested in seeing. So if that's not something that interests you, you can just skip the next episode and then I'll be back with my kind of regular content of kind of a mix and match of things that I'm making, and hopefully something in there will be something that you like. If you are new to my podcast, I tend to knit kind of a range of different things really. I do garments, accessories. Recently I've made a couple of toys, things, baby things, bit of everything really. I dip in and out of everything, so and I try to use more affordable yarns, and here on my channel I do try to talk about the cost of the different projects that I make because that's something that's important to me. I do have to knit on a budget, and I know that there'll probably be other people out there in a similar situation who maybe appreciate the information. I would love to knit with, hand-dyed yarns and all the expensive stuff, but for now I am using things that are a bit more budget friendly. So if that's something you're interested in, please keep watching. Right, now we're going to start. So first thing I'll show is something that I showed in the last episode, and this is the Minaret top by Christina Danaee, which I've made one before. So I made one which I showed probably a couple of episodes ago, I can't remember, and I enjoyed it so much and loved the fit of it so much that I actually cast on another one as soon as I finished the first one, which is basically unheard of for me. So I'll just hold it up so you can see. This is actually a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It's $7 US, so probably not one of the cheapest patterns. I know there's so many great free patterns that you can get, but this one really caught my eye. I just fell in love with it, and so far, because I've made 2, I think it's been really worth it. It's also a really well written pattern. It does have a chart on it, so you need to be able to read a chart, which is for this kind of cable and bobble pattern at the bottom. Really simple to do, and but looks really effective. And I knit this using Dala Pure Lino, which, and I've write the colourway down below. It's basically, I think, 100% linen. So when I looked at it on Ravelry, it says 85% organic recycled linen and 15% new linen. So it's, I guess, kind of good for the environment, hopefully. And it feels really nice. It's not the easiest yarn to work with because, you know, it doesn't have that that bounce or that stretch in it because it is linen. But the effect of it once you finish the garment is so lovely. It's got really good drape, and it's really kind of cool to the touch, so it's really good for those warmer days. And I find usually I like to wear a lot of kind of strap tops and things where my armpits are a bit more kind of open because I do get quite hot. I don't know if it's something to do with my autoimmune disorder or something, but I do tend to get quite a lot of kind of hot flashes, as I think that's what it's called. Basically, I just get really hot. Even now, I'm sitting with the air conditioning on, and you know, because I've got a long sleeve top on, I basically live in air conditioning. But this top, because it's so, because it's got positive ease and it's got short sleeves. And even the sleeves have quite a lot of positive ease, so it makes it quite open, and I don't get that hot in it. Now the first one I made, if you missed that episode, this is the first one that I made, and this was out of a different yarn actually. The pattern calls for a fingering weight yarn, which is what I made the first one out of, but this one is a DK weight. And I was reading online about linen yarn because I'd never really knit with it before, and it recommended going down a needle size or 2, so I did. I can't remember exactly what needle sizes I used. They'll be on my project page on Ravelry, but I got a very different gauge to what it says in the pattern. I got 28 stitches instead of 22. And so I had to size up quite a lot. The first top that I made was a size 3, and the second one that I made was, this one is a size 6, which is the biggest size, I think. So don't quote me on that. But in order to work out which size I needed to make, I just took my gauge and worked out, so how many stitches for 1 centimetre. Okay, so 28 stitches for 10 centimetres means that there's 2.8 stitches per centimetre. I then took my bust measurement, which at that time was 102. So I did 102 times by 2.8, which gave me 285.6. And then I just looked at the pattern to find which size had a number of stitches closest to that for the body section. So not the part where you have the body and the sleeves together, but where you've separated the sleeves and the body, how many stitches for the body, and that will give you kind of like the circumference that you need. So I chose size 6 because it had 296 stitches for the body, and I worked out that that would give me about 1.5 inches of positive ease. took me quite a while to finish this garment for reasons I will dip into later when I kind of chat at the end. And because of that, I've actually kind of gone up. My bust measurement's gone up a bit. So it's not got quite as much positive ease as I had intended, but it's still got enough that it's really comfortable and I really enjoy wearing it. So I'm quite glad that I made it with that positive ease. I did do some modifications with this one. So the first one that I knit, I just knit it to pattern. I might have changed the length a little bit, but other than that, I knit it to pattern. This one, I decided I wanted a little bit more of an open neckline. So I cast on a different number than what it says to cast on. So I was following size 6, and I cast on, I think it was 32 stitches more than what it said, because I wanted to skip the first 8 rounds. So I hope I'm making sense, but this is knit top down. So you cast on the neckline first, and you do the ribbing, and then you do your raglan increases, and then you knit until you reach the point where you want to split for the sleeves and the body and continue them separately. I decided to cast on a larger number and skip the first, I think it was 8 rows or 8 rounds in the pattern of the raglan increases, because I already had that larger stitch count, and then I just carried on from there. So it has given me a wider neckline than this one, you can see, is a lot smaller, and this one really kind of hugs my neck and comes up a little bit higher, whereas this one just sits differently. The reason I did that was because when I made this one, this is made out of Alpaca silk yarn, and it's really, really warm. So I found that having such a high neck was a little bit too warm for me. It probably would have been fine in this other yarn, but yeah, and I just thought it would be fun to try something different because I was knitting the same thing again. I also did a little bit of short row shaping, just 6 rows of short row shaping, so yeah, I hope that makes sense. But it's worked out to be about 2 centimeters raised in the back, so I still find it a little bit tricky to try and see which side is the front and which side is the back when I'm putting it on. So I might buy like a little label and just put it in the back so that it's a bit easier to see. And I knit the body from the underarm 13 centimeters here before I started the chart. I can't remember if I did anything different for the bobbles or not. I might have done. I really can't remember. I think, because with this first one, I think I did them slightly differently. I think I used a crochet hook to do the bobbles, and I think I did the same on this one. I'll try and write it on my Ravelry page if I can, but I really like how they've turned out because they really kind of stand out on their own, and yeah, I really like them. So I get a lot of wear out of this. The other thing is that and this was purely by mistake, I forgot to add any ribbing onto the arm, onto the sleeve. I just cast off. So yeah, but I actually quite like the look of it. It looks really clean. It doesn't kind of roll over because it is a all over ribbed top. So I might leave it. I haven't quite decided. I do have another ball left, but to be honest, I think I'm just gonna leave it. Yeah. So what else to say? Oh yes, the cost of this. So like I said, the pattern is $7. The yarn, obviously it depends where you buy it from, if it's on sale. I got mine on sale, I think a couple of years ago, and I had, I think like 7 balls of it, 50 gram balls. but if you bought this yarn new, I did look it up, it's 69 Norwegian kroner, which I guess is about maybe £5, with today's exchange rate, that is. So, and I used, I think 6 balls of this yarn. So that comes to about 400 Norwegian kroner, which I guess is about £32-ish. So not bad. Obviously there are cheaper yarns out there, and God, I just love this top so much. I really, really highly recommend it. If you're not a big fan of bobbles or cables, you can just leave that out and just knit the ribbing the whole way. It does take a while because you are doing ribbing. It's not going to be as quick and easy as stockinette, but the end result is just so worth it. And actually, looking at this, I really want to make another one in another colour, and maybe a different yarn as well. So that's my first finished object. So what shall I show now? I think I'll show this one. So I was recently watching the 100 Acre Knitting podcast, 100 Acre Wool Knitting podcast. And she was showing a top that she had made by, I think, Amanita. It's called the It's called the Golden Oak Tank. And I'll hold it up. So beautiful. And I just fell in love with it. As I've said many times, I really like wearing strap tops. I wear them all year round because, you know, in the summer you can just wear them as they are. When it gets a bit cooler, you can layer them up. And I find here in Norway that some people will have their houses really quite warm. So in the winter, when I'm home, you know, I'm usually a little bit more layered up. If I go to someone else's house and they've fired up their log burner and it's really hot, then I can take off my layers and be a bit more comfortable. So this is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It's $7 US again. What else can I say? I've made this out of, where have I put it? Here. This is the Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, which is a light fingering, I think. If not, it's fingering. And really, really nice. I love Knitting for Olive. I've been wanting to try them for a really long time. They are slightly more pricey. This here in Norway costs 95 Norwegian kroner for a 50-gram ball. So that's £8, which, you know, is not the most expensive, but it's not particularly affordable either. I justified it in my head because one, I really wanted to try some of their yarn, and two, because I was making a strap top, it will use considerably less yarn than if I was making, you know, like a short sleeved or a long sleeve top or something like that. So I bought 3 balls, and I think this used 2, and then I have this one left, so not very much of the third one. This is knit bottom up. So you start with this really interesting lace at the bottom, which I haven't blocked yet, but it looks quite good. And then it's got this kind of ribbed effect going up. And the yarn is 70% cotton, 30% merino. I knit the size medium, which fits me well. It's got quite a bit of positive ease. I think I would have preferred a slightly different fit, but that is totally just personal choice, nothing to do with the pattern at all. I think it would have looked nicer with a bit more fitted at the top. However, if I had gone down a size, then it would have been too tight around my hips. So I would have had to modify it quite a bit if I'd done that. I did do some different shaping on the back. So you'll see at the front it's got this kind of V-neck shaping, which in the pattern it has the exact same on the back, but I didn't think that would suit me, so I changed it just to, I don't even know what to call this. I did the same shaping at the armhole, I just skipped the shaping in the middle, and then knit it up until I was happy with the length and did some ribbing across and attached the straps. So it was really easy. And yeah, quite happy with this one. The pattern's well written. You do need to be able to read a chart. If you haven't done lace before, I think this would be fine as a first lace pattern, to be honest. I think I accidentally did one extra repeat of the lace. Not that it matters. Yeah, so I actually enjoyed that one quite a lot. I really like the kind of ribbing details because I think they're quite slimming. So I decided to cast on another one. I had some of the yarn left over that I used for my first Minaret, this blue. This is the Drops Baby Alpaca Silk, which I'm a huge fan of. It's I love the Drops brand. They're really affordable, good quality yarns, and they have some nice colours as well. And it's quite easily accessible here in Norway. Let's see. So I had some of this left, and I thought I'd cast on another one. I had 1 and a bit balls, I think, of this yarn. And I actually decided, so I'm basing this on the Golden Oak tank top pattern, but I'm completely kind of reworking it, just for fun really. Not because there was anything wrong with the pattern, I just wanted something slightly different. So I'm knitting this top down instead of bottom up. So I've done, and I haven't woven in the ends. So here's my, I don't know how to hold this up. Here's the front. So it's got the same at the front, and then it goes around. Like I did quite a lot of decreasing towards the back, so it's quite slanted. This is the side of the top, and then I've done just straight back, and I even put in a bit of ribbing just to provide a bit more support and structure. So this is going to be a halter neck top. So it will go like that. So I'm changing this quite a lot. I measured my gauge and decided to go with the extra small size, which I am not an extra small, but I wanted it to be quite fitted around the bust area. And then now that I've gotten to about here, so just under the bust area, I'm going to start doing some increases. I think I'm increasing every 4 rounds, and I'm increasing 1 stitch in each of these kind of panels between the slip stitch detail. So I'm going to see how it goes. I don't have a plan that's really set in stone with this one. I'm kind of trying it on as I go and seeing how it turns out. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the lace at the bottom or not. I'm really just kind of going with the flow with it. I really like working on this one because it's quite mindless. It's basically mostly stockinette, a little bit of purl and some slip stitches and some twisted stitches. It's really easy. So when I'm feeling tired or watching TV or anything like that, it's the perfect project to work on, and I really love working with the yarn. It's so smooth and just a delight to knit with. So even if I don't like the end product, I really like working on it. Okay, I think that's all to say about that one for now, because yeah, watch this space, we'll see how that one goes. What else can I show? I've got a couple of projects over there, bear with me just a second. I have a lot of projects on the go. I never realised quite how much I'm knitting on until I record a podcast. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't really cast anything new on. I should just keep working on what I have. Right, this is the Botanist, which is a cardigan by Thea Coleman. It's an all-over cable cardigan. She has some really beautiful designs. If you haven't seen her, you can check her out on Ravelry. She has some really nice cabled patterns if you're into cables. So let's see, this is knit from the bottom up, all in one piece. So you're knitting from here all the way around and back. You keep knitting, you're knitting flat, so you're working back and forth. And then when you get up to the armholes, you kind of split. You'll have a front piece, another front piece, and the back piece that you work on separately. So here is, try and hold this up without it getting all tangled. This is the back. Look at these beautiful cables. It's so lovely. Try and hold it up, it's quite big. So it's got different cable panels, it's got double seed stitch, so it's an all over cabled textured cardigan, which I've never done before. Here is the front, one of the front panels. So I've done that, and then I've just got to do the other front panel. And then after that, I've got to do the sleeves from the bottom up and somehow seam them together. This is a lot of knitting. This has taken a really, really long time, but I've really loved working on it. And I have been able to do this and watch things at the same time. At first, when I first started, I found it really, really tiring. So those who've been watching me for a while will know that I do have an autoimmune disorder. I have MS, and I do suffer with quite a lot of fatigue. So things that take quite a lot of brain power for me will really, really tire me out. So I was finding that I was knitting maybe 4 rows and then I was just completely wiped out. But it got a lot better once I kind of got into the pattern and got more familiar with the chart. And I think with more complex patterns, the start is always more challenging and you always have to concentrate a bit more because you don't have a lot of knitting below to kind of recognise where you are in the pattern and what you're supposed to be doing. So you really have to pay a bit more attention to the chart and things like that. But then after that I was fine. After I'd knit probably a couple of inches maybe. It is quite a long document, the pattern, but it's really, because at first it's a little bit daunting. You look at this really long document and you're like, oh my god, like this looks really complicated. But it's just because she puts in so much detail of what you're doing, where and why you're doing it, and she's also got, there's 3 different charts. You've got a chart for the back, you've got a chart for the left front panel, you've got a chart for the right front panel, but she also has written everything out. So if you're not someone who likes looking at charts, you can just look at the written instructions. So that's why the document is so long. And it's actually really well written. So once you get started, you realise it's going to be fine. It is a paid for pattern. It's $8 US on Ravelry. Totally worth the money. I mean, this is going to be really gorgeous. I'm knitting this out of another Drops yarn. This is Drops Soft Tweed, which I'd never come across before until I went to, me and my husband took a little trip down to Stavanger, which is a bit further south than where we live. And there was a little local yarn shop while we were there, so of course I had to pop in. It was a really nice shop. I can't remember what it was called. I'll try and write it on the screen if I can, in case you're in the area. But she had a lot of Drops and Sandnes in there. That was basically what she had, was just loads of it, which I really liked, because quite a lot of the yarn shops I go to will have like loads of different brands and just small selections from those brands, whereas she had just like she had Drops and Sandnes, and she had a lot from them, and she had a lot of different colourways, and there was a lot to choose from. So I found this yarn, and I thought that it would be perfect for an all-over cable cardigan. So I bought one skein there to test it out and thought, yeah, this is going to be good. And then I saw that it was on sale online on garnius.no. So I bought quite a few more, because I will need quite a lot for this. I bought another 10. Normally, these 50-gram balls are 55 Norwegian kroner, which I guess is about £4. But I got each one for 33 Norwegian kroner. So it's always good when you find the yarn that you were planning to get anyway on sale. So I jumped on that straight away. I am knitting this to pattern, but I've tried to add in a little bit of waist shaping, which she does mention in the pattern. It's not included, but she kind of explains where to put it, but not how to do it. And I've never done that before, so we'll see how that turns out. I tried to do kind of a little bit of math, see where my waist kind of hits on the body, and yeah, we'll see. One thing I really like about knitting is that I can modify things to fit me, hopefully the way I want to, although I haven't been knitting very long, and I'm still kind of learning how to do that. So it's a bit hit or miss at the moment, but hopefully with a bit more time and experience, I'll be able to knit things that do really fit me. Because I seem to have quite a short torso. My mum has the same issue, that whenever we buy clothes from shops, there's always too much fabric. So say, for example, I buy a dress that has like an elastic kind of band around the waist. It never hits me on my waist. It's always too far down. So I'm either constantly pulling it down, or, you know, and then it rises up, because my waist is higher than, I guess, average. And then I end up with all this like extra fabric on top. Like this top, for example, I've put this underneath, because otherwise it's just super low cut, because there's just all this extra fabric at the top. And if it was like that, it would be a lot better. Anyway, I'm rambling. That is the Botanist by Thea Coleman. And it's a lot of knitting, so it'll probably take me quite a while to finish, especially as I have so many projects on the go. So what's next? Yes. I do have another one that I'm working on, but, oh yes, I think I put it down here. Okay, so I found another really nice strap top on Ravelry, and I can't remember where I saw it at first, but maybe I just came across it on Ravelry. This is the Maia summer top by Helms, who is a German designer. I think she's quite a new designer. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It's €5. It's in German and English, and it's really beautiful. There's two different versions in the same pattern. One is just kind of a plain, not plain, but a normal strap top, and the other one has a little bit of a peplum on it. And I'm making this, or I plan to make this, out of the Sandnes alpaca silk in Gammelrosa, which means old pink. That doesn't sound as nice in English, but it's the colour 4331. Really, really beautiful colour. It's like a kind of like a salmony pink. Yeah, really nice. This is a fingering weight pattern and a fingering weight yarn. And I bought one ball of this at that same shop in Sandnes, in Stavanger, and this is 89 Norwegian kroner for a 50-gram ball. So again, not the most affordable, but if I'm making a strap top, that's how I justify it, because I don't need as much. So I started it. It's a bottom up, and you actually knit it flat. This is very long. It's got this really nice cable and some little eyelets and some, where is it? I don't know if this is moss stitch or seed stitch, because it's different in England and the US, so I get confused. But it's basically the one where you're purling the knits and knitting the purls. So it's a 2-row repeat. Yeah, anyway. But I have measured this and it's going to be too big. It's also quite a stretchy yarn. So I need to restart basically. I was making size 5, which was supposed to be 105 centimetres total, and this was working out to be about 112 without stretching it. And I do think, you know, it might stretch a bit over time, so I'm going to start again. I don't know if that's the pattern or maybe it was my gauge, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to start again. But this is on pause because I have so many other projects on the go. But I'm quite looking forward to making that when I get around to it. Yeah. Pop this back in its bag. Okay, I have one more project to show today. These are just my garments. I have other things that I've been making. I don't know how I've managed this. Okay, now I think this is probably my most favourite thing that I'm working on. This is Bramble by Marie Wallin. So just hold that up a little bit closer. So nice. I've been admiring Marie Wallin for a while. She has really, really beautiful Fair Isle designs. Kind of like Shetland inspired, I think. And she has, so originally she was the head designer for Rowan, and then she left Rowan and started designing in her own right, and she has her own line of yarn as well called British Breeds, which is really beautiful. Oh, and it smells. It smells like sheep. It's so nice. I could just sit here and smell this all day. It's a fine blend of wool spun in Devon from Blue-Faced Leicester, Exmoor, Wensleydale and Zwartbulls sheep breeds, which I think are all British sheep breeds. That's why it's called British Breeds. She has quite a few different colours. Yeah, 100% British wool, made in the UK. So it is non-superwash yarn, and each one is kind of like almost like a little bit heathered, and just really, really beautiful. So just show a few different colours. Don't know how well it's going to show up, but they're just so, so lovely. They come in 25-gram balls, and I actually got a kit, so there's been a lot going on since I last recorded. Some sad things, basically. And my mum was really kind and generous and bought me this kit as something for me to do and as a distraction. And it's not, you know, the kits are expensive. I think this kit was like £145. So it's not something that I will be doing all the time, but it was just a really special gift. It comes in this really nice bag, and you get the printed pattern. You also get a PDF version of the pattern as well, so that you can keep your printed one all nice and pretty if you want to. And I will show, so it's actually knit in pieces. So it's knit from the bottom up in pieces. So you are doing colour work back and forth. So you are having to purl colour work. And I did kind of consider the idea that I could change it and knit it in the round and do some steeking. But I decided that I was going to knit it in the pieces because I do so many things that are seamless, and I just wanted to get a bit better with knitting pieces and seaming them together. I wanted a bit of a challenge. I wanted this to be something that would be a distraction and take my mind off of other things, so I decided that I was going to knit it in pieces. So this is the back piece. Oh, how beautiful is this? Look at these colours. So, so lovely. It's got really nice colours in the ribbing as well. So I've done the back piece, and I have also done, well, tiny bit of the front piece. And I've also done about this much of one of the sleeves. So the sleeve is actually, ooh, losing my notes. The sleeve is actually a different pattern than the body, as you can see. Which is quite interesting, and it's also quite nice because then I don't need to worry about matching them up when I'm putting them together. So I'm making the size extra large, I think. Let me have a look. I can tell you. Yeah, extra large. So, which will give me quite a bit of positive ease. So my bust measurement currently is 107 centimetres, which is 42 inches. And the extra large is made to fit up to 117 centimetres, which is 46 inches. So we'll have a bit of positive ease. And hopefully that means that the arms will fit quite nicely as well. Sometimes I find with patterns that the arm circumference is a little bit snug on me, so going up a size is usually not a bad thing. This is not very size inclusive because that is the biggest size, and the smallest size is for 81 centimetres, 32 inch bust. But she has a lot of beautiful patterns, and another one that I'd really like to make is the primrose. I've seen a lot of people making the Yale cardigan. She just has a lot of beautiful designs. Of course you could make her designs using a different yarn, but she's so good with the colours, and I just really wanted to make it as it was in the picture. So still working on this one. This knit is very sentimental for me. So I am going to talk about what's been going on. It's going to be a difficult thing to talk about, but I think it's important, especially when posting things online, to just be 100% transparent and, you know, share the bad things as well as the good things. I don't want to give anyone the impression that my life is sunshine and rainbows all the time, because it's not. And I think it's important to talk about things like this in case anyone else is going through or has gone through a similar experience. So my last episode was in, I think, January or February. February I got pregnant, and we were really happy, we were really over the moon. It was a planned pregnancy, and we were just so excited. The first trimester was a little bit hard, feeling quite nauseous and sick, and not sleeping very well, and yeah, towards the end of the first trimester, God, I was hungry all the time. I was just like a food monster, really. Anyway, we waited and waited and waited to tell people. We kept it to ourselves for the first trimester because I was aware that, you know, the risk of miscarriage in the first trimester is a lot higher. So we waited the first 12 weeks, and then I was really surprised to find out from my doctor that in Norway they don't do routine scans at 12 weeks. So in England, where I'm from, they do 12-week scans for everyone. And I just assumed that it would be the same here, but it wasn't. So I had to wait until 18 weeks to have a scan, which was really hard. It was really hard to wait. For obvious reasons, I was just really excited. And once the first trimester was over, I felt a lot less pregnant. I wasn't feeling sick anymore. I had a bit more energy. And, you know, people kept asking me, you know, oh, have you felt anything in there yet? I hadn't felt anything, and I was starting to feel really anxious. Like, everyone keeps asking me if I've felt anything, and I haven't. What if something's wrong, or what if I've imagined the whole thing? I was just getting really anxious, and then it was getting closer to the scan, and I was just so anxious that something was going to be wrong. So we go to the scan, and everything's looking good. You know, she's checking the brain. Yeah, all the stuff that they check was coming out fine. But she was having difficulty seeing certain things on the heart. And so we were there for quite a long time. I think we were there for about an hour. And in the end, you know, it was kind of a bit inconclusive. She said that she couldn't see, you know, there might be something wrong with the heart, but she wasn't 100% sure. So we had to come back. So we went back. We had the scan on a Wednesday, and we had to wait until the Monday to go back and see the doctor, which was really hard. We'd actually planned to go away that weekend, so when we were leaving straight after the scan to go to our farmhouse over in the east of Norway. We decided to go anyway, but that was a really hard wait. And we go back on the Monday, and, you know, she does the scan, and she says, well, you know, there might be, it looks like there's a very small hole between the two sides of the heart, but quite often that will fix itself, or, you know, it basically wasn't too serious. But she said that it could be an indication of, you know, it could be an indication that something else is wrong, like a chromosomal abnormality. So we did decide to have extra testing for that. We had amniocentesis, I think it's called. Basically, it's not very nice. They put a needle in through your stomach into your uterus, and they draw out some of the amniotic fluid, and they test that. And she said it could take, you know, a little while to get the results. well, I got a call the next day, and she said, you know, there is something wrong. It was something wrong with the chromosome 18. And yeah, that was that. I mean, she called me and she asked if I wanted the results there and then, and I said, yes, please, because I stupidly thought that they wouldn't give bad news over the phone, but she did, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was really, really hard, and I immediately looked it up and, you know, realised that the pregnancy was not how can I put that? Everyone will have their own views about abortion and things like that, and I'm not here to have that debate. I think it's everyone's personal choice, but reading about this Edwards syndrome is what it's called. You know, it's she would have suffered a lot. I think it's something like 10% of children with it will live to see their first birthday. And, you know, they have a lot of abnormalities and basically have a really hard, difficult life when they are with you. And, you know, the doctor even said that they don't thrive, they don't look happy, because, I mean, they just have so much wrong with them. They wouldn't do any medical interventions to try and prolong their life. And me and my husband, we both agreed straight away that, you know, it just wasn't fair on her to put her through that. And we decided to end the pregnancy. And that took actually a couple of weeks from the moment that I found out to having the abortion. And that, I think, is the hardest 2 weeks I've ever been through in my life. Knowing what was going to happen, but not being able to process it or try and move on from it, because it was still, you know, she was still there inside of me. I was still pregnant. I still had all the pregnancy symptoms, you know, I was still hungry all the time. And just knowing what had to happen, I was so fed up with being pregnant. I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. I just wanted it to be over so that I could try and move on from it. So yeah, that's basically what's been going on. And I just haven't felt like recording. And even when I was pregnant and didn't know what was going to be happening, and I thought, you know, that I would be carrying the baby to full term, in the first trimester I was so tired and feeling quite sick, and I just didn't feel like knitting at all. So I didn't even really have much to show in the first place. And then, you know, once I started to feel a bit better, I was thinking, well, it would be nice to share it on the podcast. So I'll just wait until I've told, you know, family and friends and people, and then record. And then I thought, well, I'll wait till the scan just so I know that everything's okay. And of course it wasn't, and it's taken me some time to kind of come to terms with that and start to feel like myself again. So it's nice to sit down and record today. I hope there's someone out there that will appreciate me sharing my story. It was honestly the hardest thing I've ever been through. I've never really experienced grief like that before. I've never really lost anyone close to me. And yeah, when people talk about a broken heart, now I know exactly what they're talking about. It was just the worst thing. So yeah, not a very positive end to the podcast, I'm afraid. But that's just life sometimes. Things happen. And we just have to try to get past them. And my husband's been really great. He's been really supportive. And, you know, we both agreed the whole time what needed to be done, and that helped a lot. I think seeing what the condition for those children was like, and knowing how much she would suffer, and it actually kind of made the decision a lot easier for us. Like, it was black and white, like we knew exactly what had to happen. If it had been something else that, you know, maybe they could have lived a bit of a better life, then but not a normal life, then it would have been a much harder decision. But yeah. And more happy news. I've finally been able to see my mum and my dad. So my dad came. I've been watching the I can't think now. I've been keeping a close eye on all the travel restrictions and requirements, etc. Basically since COVID began. And last month, things finally took a turn for the better. Because basically the issue was that the UK's NHS COVID Pass app was not being accepted by the European Union. So, you know, people travelling from the UK that had been fully vaccinated were not being recognised as being fully vaccinated. They would still have to quarantine, etc. And finally, they're accepting. I don't know if the EU is accepting, but Norway is accepting the UK NHS COVID Pass app, which is great because it meant that my mum could come, well, my dad could come, he came first, my mum could come, because they're both fully vaccinated. It was so nerve-wracking though when we booked the plane tickets, and then you know, trying to make sure that they had everything they needed, and because they still needed to do some testing, and it was honestly a headache. It was a nightmare, but it was so worth it. So my dad and my stepmom came to our farmhouse when we were over there for our holiday, so they were able to see our new place, which was really, really lovely. So they were there for a few days, and then my mum came last week for a few days, which was amazing. It was so nice to see people. I haven't seen anyone before that for like 18 months. It's been so long, and I really, really, really want to get back to England soon. I need to see everyone else basically, and I haven't even met my niece yet. She was born in February, and I haven't even met her yet. And my best friend's just had a baby as well, so I have a lot of people to see. So I'm really hoping that I can travel soon, although I'm having a lot of issues with getting my new passport. But that's a story for another day. So yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about today, I think. My next episode, like I said, will be kind of more like baby knits. I have a couple of like toys, and yeah, just baby related things, or kids related things. So if that's something you're interested, make sure to check out the next episode. Otherwise, I will see you in the one after that. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.